Hi, welcome to the In Retrospect KE podcast, where marriage meets knowledge. So, Grace, in a group of friends that we have, we were recently having a conversation about should you bring up everything and anything that displeases you in your marriage to your spouse?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I would say that no and yes. So the homework is for you to ask yourself, what's the goal? So if I am distressed about something and really it's distressing me too much, then I do need to bring it up because I'm unable to resolve it within myself. The things that you can resolve within yourself, resolve them, because you don't want to burden your relationship with things that you can resolve. So, for instance, there are things that my husband may do, but they trigger shame in me. You see what I'm saying? They may make me feel that he's not treating me right, but it has nothing to do with him. It has a lot to do with the way I see myself. So, if I am constantly telling him that, oh, when you talk to me like that, I feel so bad. I wish you could talk to me. He's going to be so burdened by these things that have something to do with my sense of self. So now I'm asking him to give me a sense of self, and he can't do that because that's not his job. But things that have to do with our relationship, like now yelling at me or not telling me when he's not coming home in time or not paying the rent on time, things that have to do with our relationship. Those are the things that I need to bring to the table because they are not things about who I am as a person, because that's not his job, or it's not my job to make him. Marriage is not supposed to make us feel whole, so to speak, because whatever it is that makes me feel I'm not enough or I'm not whole, it has nothing to do with him. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I called it shame. Anything that has to do with shame, unless he's the one shaming you, you do need to realize you need to resolve that by yourself first. And then now you can handle the behavior that, for instance, if somebody yells at you, and if your wife or your husband is yelling at you, that's a personal attack. But he cannot, if it is rooted in you generally feeling that you're not good enough, so that now you can't work, you can't go anywhere, you can't parent your children because your partner yelled at you. There is a part of that really is not about the relationship. So what I'm saying is that anything that is about the relationship, deal with it. But the other extra that has to do with your self-esteem and your self-worth, that's not your partner's responsibility.
I hear what you're saying. So two of us, the couple group, we are 6 of us. So 3 were of the opinion you should say everything and anything, and then the other 2 are like, no, some of them you just let it slide. So speaking for those who are saying you should, coming from the point of, one, you can tell me something that's bothering you, could be eating you, and then it's something I'm happy to change.
Yes.
It doesn't cost me anything. No. But me, I can continue doing it because I'm like, I don't even realize it has an impact on you, right?
Yes.
And then, so we were also saying, you should say, because sometimes when the relationship is strained, these things that you've been ignoring come up. They come up. So you feel like sometimes even you're fighting about something that's so unrelated, but it's this thing that have been bothering you about your spouse or the things that they're doing in their marriage. So they just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then this other camp was saying that, you know what, it could be just like you said, it's just a me issue. It's just a me issue, so I don't need to say. So how do you find a balance between those two? I know you said yes and no, but is there and then the other thing we were wondering is, so if 10 years later I realize this thing has been bothering you, I'll start questioning, what else have you not been telling me these past 10 years we've been together?
Yes, and that comes to my sessions a lot.
Yeah. So
that's why I said, what's the goal?
What would be a good goal?
Well, so my husband yells at me. So what is the problem? He's yelling at me, right? So that's the problem. If I don't say that I don't like you yelling at me, because that's about our relationship, then what is going to happen is that I will ruminate on it. And then I will make a decision. He hates me. He doesn't want me. And therefore, he is going to leave me. This extra, this is what I'm talking about, the extra. That's why people don't hear each other, because I come with all these extras. So I come in and I say, you don't love me. You don't care. You have never loved me. He's not going to hear you. She's not going to hear you, because that's not the issue. The issue is you yelled at me. So if we can be able to share behavioral concerns, then we are going to be okay. So what is the goal? The goal is for me to express to you, when you yell at me, I'm not able to hear you. You see? But the way we say it usually comes off as if we are either burdening them with our self-esteem issues, or we are labeling them too. So two wrongs, they don't make a right. So what I want to say is that do two things. When your spouse does something that makes you feel bothered, don't get hurt. Just be bothered. So that now you might come and say, and by the way, vile umenishautia hapo ai. Because you see, I'm not hurt.
How can I not get hurt?
Because there are levels of offense.
Okay.
Even Jesus talked about that.
Yeah.
There are levels of offense. If everything that is being said hurts you, you will constantly be feeling unwanted. So you want to also tell yourself there are some things which are offensive, and there are some things which are hurtful. So that if for instance, if he yells because he has a big voice, because he's loud, and he yells because of that, I don't want to be hurt by that, because that is intention. It's not him intentionally hurting me. It's the way he is. And I can influence that behavior by the way I come in. I don't attack him. What I say is, hey, by the way, you yelling at me like that? Daddy. You see, so now I'm sending the same message. If I coward and then I brood, and then he comes in the evening and I'm not even talking to him, then he has to push me. Are you okay? Me, I'm fine. Or I go into, kama ujui vile ulinikosea mimi sitakwambia. You see, now the communication is not effective.
Okay.
So I'm going to say that the answer, when I say yes, I mean if you can be able to separate your emotional reasoning, that is the heart, and the behavior itself, then you need to be able to say, but say it in a way that is not going to create more. I mean, don't add fuel to the fire. You see. Now let me also put a spin to it. So the group that said, no, it's okay, those are the avoidant. So they're the people who are more.
They're the flags. They were the flags in the group.
Yes. The cholerics and the melancholics, they are going to say,
that was us. Me, I was in that category. Tell me everything.
But we need to also talk about vulnerability. Vulnerability is what now you are saying, tell me everything, because we are one. So open yourself up to me, but it depends on when I open up to you. Okay. Are you able to hold space for me? Now you as a male, so I come, I'm a flag. and I come and say, hey, you know what? This happened. This is what I was feeling. Da, 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 da. And then you start asking, but why did you feel like that? Me, I didn't mean to do that. And you do the choleric, melancholic thing of defending yourself. Me as a flag, guess what? Next time I won't. You see, so we want to look at it. It's not that straightforward. It is a relational thing. So I have to think as I tell, how do I say it? And then when I'm told, how do I receive it?
So it's a responsibility on both parts. Be willing to be vulnerable to your spouse and to open up. But you, the spouse who's being told these things, manage your response. Manage and create a safe space for your spouse.
Absolutely. And the last thing I'm gonna say, there is a simple technique couples can use. There is a technique we call speaker listener technique. When I'm holding the phone, it's my turn to speak. It's your turn to listen. And when I give this to you, you are going to return, reflect back what I've said to you. And when we are done, and I tell you, you got it, I hear you, you have heard me, we finish and we take a break. So we don't overwhelm ourselves with too many issues.
So like one issue at a time.
And then later on, we can do yours now. Now you are the speaker. So tell me, what is it? And couples can get those cards, you know, the talking cards, the communication cards, and where you get to know your partner better. The thing is, the settling, what happens? We get married and we stop dating one another. What is dating? Dating is curiosity and interest. So we get married and we say, tunaka. But then there is the issue of learning to love the spouse that you married. And that means you have to keep the curiosity and the interest going. Last year, I knew you this way. By the way, this year, ile fear yako ya cockroaches, bado iko. Ama ulizoea. You know, keep, because your partner is growing and you are growing too, keep being curious about how you are evolving and how you are changing. Because then you keep your love fresh. Tuache kukaa tu na ile yenye tulijua.
Become a student of your spouse.
Yes, of your spouse. Yeah. Yes. And that is where now you can answer the question, should I share everything with my spouse? And then there is something else that we can also do. I can be vulnerable with my spouse to say, anytime I talk to you, or a couple of times I've talked to you about my work stress, and I have observed that you normally are unable to hear me. And now there is something going on in the office and I really need to vent about it. I am wondering whether you are in that space you can listen.
Hey.
That is now vulnerability. That is now where we can share everything. But if we are just coming, I see you are watching football and I come and say, by the way, you know what happened?
The person might not be in the space to take in your...
Yeah, okay. You see, this respecting each other's space, even though we are one, is a real thing. So I just don't bulge on you because you're sitting there and I decide because you're doing nothing,
I should pour everything.
Yes. No, I need to come in and say, hey, you're relaxing. How are you feeling? I'm feeling good. You know, there is something on my mind. Are you in a position for us to talk? Or maybe we can go for a walk and I tell you what I'm thinking. What do you think? You know.
I like that. Sounds like a very emotional person, where we should all strive to be. That's a very good response. Thank you, Grace. Thank you so much. I'm sure my couples group have appreciated that response.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Okay, good.